So some of the things that I've brought up in the past are great things to keep in mind, especially during interviews, of how you can relate back and talk about your experiences. So something to note is if you've been a mentor before, or if you want to include it in your resume or cover letter, just noting the importance of mentorship, especially if it's been with someone of a younger generation, and talking about the benefits, especially bringing it back to DEI initiatives as well. As well as communicating your ability to work with different people, and noting age diverse teams, and talking about maybe how you improved performance or drove innovation can be another great way to kind of incorporate it back in. And then, as always, highlighting skill sets is very important. When you have 15 or more years of professional experience, including jobs older than 15 years, may distract employers from your wealth of skills and qualifications. So keeping your professional experiences recent and emphasizing your impact can be very helpful. Additionally, I want to bring it back to AI and resumes. So as we noted, more companies are using AI to really take that first turn of looking at resumes. And it's very similar to how SEO works for websites. AI and like programs use natural language processing to sift through resumes. Doing this, the program can score a resume according to a candidate's fit for the job. And AI does so largely by searching for keywords and linked phrases within the resume itself and comparing it back to the job description. So as a candidate, you do want to make sure that you're looking at that, those keywords and phrases, and making sure that your resume is tailored to the job itself. So a lot of times, I know a lot of job seekers have different resumes for different jobs to make sure that the job description, specs, and competencies are hit in their resume so that they can make sure to make it through the first point of AI technology. So the job of a smart resume is to speak to the job description, job requirements, and etc. And a lot of times you can then focus the cover letter more so it's focused on the hiring manager reading it. So you don't always have to make sure that you have all of those keywords in it, because a lot of times it's read after it first goes through AI. I do want to note, though, you want to make sure that you're not over adding keywords. So there's kind of a fine line, which is always hard to figure out, but you don't want to make sure that you have every single keyword in there. You want to pick a few that really relate to you and bring them into your resume, because a lot of times AI and ATSs can actually flag if you use too many. So you want to make sure that you have that fine balance of including keywords with natural language instead of just kind of carelessly throwing them all in there, high volume. A lot of times they can note that they can see you're doing that. And then some other just kind of resume writing tips. Again, like I noted, just having one resume can really limit your availability to potentially get jobs with ATS and AI platforms. So making sure that you have edited resumes with keywords, knowledge, skills, and abilities are highlighted. This especially goes for experiences, training, education, licenses, and certificates. If those are noted in the job description, you really want to make sure that it's listed on your resume and highlighted as well so that they can pick them up. Don't forget to include the less tangible but highly important phrases like people management, project coordination, or other phrases that suggest something about an ability to execute a task. A job description might say they want a candidate to manage a project from initiation through completion. So you want to make sure you've hit on how you have produced work from end to end. And more sophisticated programs with AI have different ways of linking text to determine this is what is being communicated. Another great note about AI is they can now actually bridge the gap between military kind of codes and job descriptions and then bridge them over to a job description, which is really great to see. Ours does that as well with diversity sourcing. So if someone with a veteran military background has a more military specific resume, that AI can actually translate it and still hit on all of those key knowledge and skills and bring them back to what they're currently looking to do in the workforce outside of the military. And then there are some levels of express magnitude for a skill or task. So make sure to take note in the job description to ensure that level is shown on your resume as well. So this usually shows up in the form of adverbs or adjectives. So an emphasis on desire for skill, ability, or experience, the adjective might be significant, strong, or compelling. And an adverb that you could use would be successfully, effectively, or efficiently. It can also show up in emphasized nouns like mastery, proficiency, or competency. Additionally, with especially some AI and ATSs, no artwork or images. They're really not needed, and they could also not work well with algorithms depending on the system. This isn't always the case. You just don't know what kind of systems you might be coming up against. Also, if you are creating different resumes for each job and kind of picking and choosing what you put in each, you do want to make sure you're going back to your LinkedIn and making sure that it has consistency as well. You don't want one of your resumes to look completely different from your overall LinkedIn profile, because then that could just look very off. And then also, a nice way to look at it is just really focusing your resume on bringing it back to what those experiences and requirements are. You can use your cover letter as an argument for why you would fit. And if you don't fit the observable traits, use your cover letter to tell that hiring manager how you could be a great fit for their team, the company, and an active part of their culture. So this includes, focusing on being an asset to making the company heartbeat. It includes some maybe focus on age diverse workforces and potentially bringing some ideas to DEI within the organization. A lot of organizations, since the death of George Floyd, have been very transparent about what they're doing with DEI. You can usually go to their Abouts page on their websites, and a lot of them are now putting up what they're doing with DEI. There's also a lot of CEO and DEI pledges that companies are now signing that you can easily find available and see what they're looking to do, and then bring it back to that as well as something that not only you're interested in, but could help with as well.